Okay, this is Honors Algebra 2 quiz preview for Trig quiz number 1. Oh, I don't really use SOHCAHTOA, so if you know that already from the past, that's fine. What I use is Oscar has a heap of apples. And the opposite over hypotenuse, that's the first trig function on your calculator, which is the sine of an angle. This is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is the cosine of an angle, which is the second one trig function on your calculator. And the third is the tangent, opposite over the adjacent leg, tangent of an angle. Right, so we should have been familiar with those before we got to Honors Algebra 2. Showing the setup means I need an equation. So you look from the angle that is the acute angle that's provided. The triangle must be a right triangle. You say, well, across from 52 would be your opposite leg. 40, does that say degrees on it? Oh, it's inches. Double slippies, little slashies. That means inches, yes. So this would be your hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle. So opposite and hypotenuse tells me to use the sine. So sine of 52 is equal to opposite leg x over hypotenuse 40. You treat it like a proportion, so 1 times x would equal 40 times the sine of 52. So we type up, but first on our calculator, we should double check and make sure that we are in the degree mode. Doesn't want to clear for me. Doesn't want to do anything for me. Let's see. I think I'll close this guy up for a second. And I'll pause. Okay, so what we were about to do is check if our mode is in the right. It needs to be in not in radians, but in degrees. So if you have this part radian highlighted in black, you need to slide over and turn it on to degrees. Okay, and then we get out of there. I think I can just hit clear. And then I can go back and type in 40 sine 52. Okay, and that's 31.5 inches, which would be to the nearest tenth. Should be having labels on your answers, please. Okay, for the next one, this is where you've got an angle between a side and a side, which means you've got the hypotenuse is where x is because it's across from the right angle. This would be your adjacent leg. Adjacent and hypotenuse gives me the cosine setup. So cosine of 37, the angle, acute angle. Adjacent would be 85 over hypotenuse x. Be careful when calculating this because if you were to do cross products, x times the cosine of 37 is equal to 85, and you would need to divide. So you better be typing 85 divided by cosine 37. Okay, our answer should be 106.4 meters. Anybody not getting those answers, need help with what is wrong with your calculator? Let me know. Okay, this one, the hypotenuse is blank, so we're going to use the tangent. This would be your opposite leg to the acute angle of 27. The 19 would be the adjacent leg. So this would be the tangent of the angle 27 degrees is equal to the ratio of x to 19, opposite to adjacent. We're going to calculate 19 tan 27. .7 would be our solution, and that would be 9.7 feet. Next one, on number 4, we're trying to find an angle. If you're finding an angle, you stand again where that angle is that you're trying to find. Opposite it would be the 9. The hypotenuse is 11. Careful when they're really pointy and make sure you see that 11 is across from the right angle. Opposite and hypotenuse is the sine, so the sine of x degrees is equal to 9 over 11. To do the angle measure, x degrees, you will do the inverse sine, which is going to look like this on the calculator. Second sine is how you get it. Push second sine, and then it is 9 divided by 11. Got 54.9 degrees. And I would say if it doesn't specify, go to the nearest tenth on everything. Number 5 has a word problem, and this is what I was speaking to earlier about worksheets 3 and 4 that a lot of people haven't done much on. Those are your applications of right triangle trig, and it discusses angle of elevation. Angle of elevation is an angle opening upward from a horizontal. So your sketch, you have a horizontal line. There's an angle opening upward. That would be your angle of elevation of the sun, which is 25 degrees, and clearly mine's not to scale. But your sun would be somewhere like, up there in the sky, casting rays. Then you get shadows on the ground from that, which forms a right angle if you drop a perpendicular from that angle of depression, etc., or elevation. This is like the height up towards the rays or whatever. How tall is the building? Well, I guess this is the building that's blocking the sun a little bit, and that's causing that shadow. And the shadow is 46 meters. Now, I get people putting 46 here. That's where the rays of the sun are, so it doesn't go there. Shadows should be where? On the ground. Okay, so your 46 needs to be here. You're trying to find out the height of the building, so X would be there. Then we look at the angle. We're coming from, like we're looking from there, so this would be our opposite leg would be X, your adjacent leg would be 46, so that's your tangent of 25 is equal to X over 46. Calculate 46 times the tangent of 25. And that's 21.45 or 21.5 to the nearest 10th. Oh, it said hundredths. So what do I need to write? 4 or 5? Okay, and that is in meters. Okay, number 6 is giving you some information, and then you have to determine whether you're to use law signs or cosines, but this one's giving you hints. On the quiz, there will be sort of hints, I guess. There are some of those blanks, but I don't know. Probably shouldn't be there. Find the length of side A. Well, I'm just going to label this generic triangle ABC. And angle A is 39, that in that corner. C is 68 degrees. B up, that's little b, so that's side B, not angle, and it's also in meters, so it's a length. Okay, and then I was asked to find the length of side A. Well, I would say this looks like I'm going to be setting up a proportion, which would be the law of sines. And it is the law of sines anyway, because it's two angles are given, and you're trying to find a side, and you've been given one side. So the sine of 39 is to A. But wait a minute, there's nothing across. We don't have little c. So what do we need to do to get the problem rolling? We have to find angle B. And the sum of the three angles by triangle angle sum theorem is always 180. So we take 180 and start subtracting the angles we've been given. Or you can add those together and then subtract. It's up to you. So 180 minus 68 minus 39 on your calc would give you 73 degrees. Okay, so now you'd say as the sine of 73 is to 23. Cross multiply and divide, and you will get A. So we need to type 23 sine of 39. Then we got to divide that by the sine of 73. Okay, 15.14 would be to the nearest hundredth. Didn't specify, so I kind of just stuck with the hundredths from the previous problem. If you went to tenths, it wouldn't be a big deal. Any questions up to here? Say that again. Didn't what? Well, goodness gracious me, oh my, oh. I didn't label my answer. Thank you very much. I should have. M for meters. Number 7, ABC. I don't like these generic triangles, but that's okay. That's just need to get it done. It's 27 degrees. Obviously, this isn't 27 degrees. Little a would be opposite big A. 12, and little b would be opposite big B. Now, I only have I have two sides. So continuing the find the measure of angle B, so we would be saying this would be law of sines because we have an angle and side opposite it. We want to find angle B, and we have the side opposite it. So sine of B is to 7, as the sine of 27 is to 12. The calculation would be 7 sine 27 divided by 12. Cross products. Clear this out. 7 sine 27. Okay, close that parenthesis up. Divided by 12. Now we get a decimal. And the reason we get a decimal is because this is equivalent to the sine of B. So what we are finding, the sine of B is what we just got that decimal for, which was 0.2 and blah, 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 a whole bunch of numbers. So what we need to do is unsign it. So we need to do second sine. Let's just keep this decimal on our calculator. Hit second sine, and then put this in by hitting second, the negative key, which means you're popping in the answer you just got. And then hit enter. We get 15.4 degrees if we go to the nearest tenth. I don't want to, we could go to the nearest hundreds, it'd be 15.36. Or if you wanted to, if it said go to the tenths, remember that would be 15.4. I typically prefer we go to at least the tenths instead of rounding all the way to the nearest degree, which would have dropped all that decimal off. So for number 9, we're going to be using law of cosines. I don't know why it is already telling us that, because we should be able to determine that on our own. But it does say use law of cosines on our quiz preview. The side opposite big A would be little a, so I put the 9 there. Side opposite big B would be 11, is little b. And we've got the angle is 64. This is law of cosines because it's side angle side. We can find side C using the law of cosines. So C squared is equal to adjacent side times adjacent side squared, not times, side adjacent to the angle squared, plus the other side adjacent to the angle squared and added, minus twice the product of those two sides, 9 and 11, times the cosine of the given angle, 64. Okay, once we type this out in our calculator, we're going to get 115.2025 approximately. Okay, and then you will take the square root of that. This answer doesn't make sense, so make sure you just realize that that was C squared, not C. And anyway, look at your picture. 115 would be ridiculous length for this side to go with sides of 9 and 11. So just beware and don't go too fast and do something silly like forget to take the square root. So C should come out to approximately 10.7, and then it's in meters because the other sides were in meters. Next one and last one on the quiz preview, ABC. Little a would be 8, big little b would be 12, opposite big B, C would be 16. And we want to find angle C. Since we're finding angle C, cosine of C is equal to the adjacent side squared and added minus the side across from it squared all over 2 times the adjacent sides multiplied, 8 and 12. Now I suggested that we do numerator and denominator separately. If you type 12 squared plus 8 squared minus 16 squared, you should get negative 48. And then in the denominator, you should get 192. You take second cosine, and it'll look like this on the calc, and put in the negative 48 divided by 192. Second cosine, negative 48 divided by 192. 104.5. And that was in degrees, so C was obtuse. And granted, this is a generic triangle. We did not draw it to scale. You also have area problem. You'll know that it's an area problem because it'll say find the area. You'll need to have two sides and the included angle in order to do that area. It's 1/2 BC times the cosine, sine of A. That formula is on the pink sheet. You'll be able to use your pink sheet. And then you will also be turning in your homework check, which I provided a list of that homework today. All right, good luck on your quiz tomorrow.